When an INFJ's birthday arrives, the world might expect balloons, laughter, crowds, and the warmth of celebration. But for the INFJ, that day often feels strangely ordinary, like a quiet ripple in the ocean rather than a wave. A moment that society screams should be monumental, yet in their inner world, it's simply another rotation of existence, another dawn to be observed with gratitude, introspection, and an almost sacred detachment from the noise of expectation. Because while others crave to be seen, to be celebrated, to have their name carried on the breath of applause, the INFJ moves differently. They do not need to be seen to know they exist, they do not need validation to feel alive, and they do not chase significance through candles or gifts, because their sense of meaning is carved from something deeper, something far beyond what the world can wrap in paper or decorate with ribbons. For the INFJ, birthdays are paradoxical, simultaneously a reminder of their presence and their invisibility, their belonging and their solitude, their growth and their grief, because for them, time isn't a mere count of years but a profound meditation on the passage of life itself, on who they've become, who they've lost, and how quietly they've had to evolve in a world that rarely understands the weight of their inner becoming. While others may wake to excitement and plans, the INFJ wakes to reflection, to questions that echo softly in their mind. What have I learned this year? Whom have I become? Have I lived with integrity to my soul? It is not self-pity, nor coldness, but reverence, because for the INFJ, life is sacred, and birthdays, stripped of their social rituals, are invitations to stand still for a moment and feel the currents of existence flow through them like light through glass. But there's something deeper, something few ever notice. INFJs often treat their birthday like any other day because they've learned the danger of expectations. Somewhere in their story, there was a birthday that hurt, a moment when they hoped for connection but were met with indifference, when they opened their heart but received silence, when they gave their best to others year after year only to find that their own day passed quietly, unacknowledged or misunderstood. And in that silence, something shifted. They stopped expecting others to understand what that day meant to them, and they started protecting their peace instead. Because INFJs feel disappointment like an earthquake, they internalize it, analyze it, and turn it inward until they teach themselves to no longer need what once hurt to desire. And so, over time, they learn to stop waiting for the call that doesn't come, the message that's forgotten, the gesture that once mattered so deeply. They learned to self-soothe, to build quiet sanctuaries of contentment within themselves, and to turn their birthdays into rituals of reflection instead of festivities of performance. Because the INFJ's greatest joy doesn't come from others' recognition, it comes from feeling aligned with their own spirit, from knowing they're evolving into the person they were meant to be. So while the world celebrates with noise, they find meaning in silence. While others toast to another year, they sit in the quiet knowing that growth isn't loud, it's invisible, private, internal, and sacred. It's not that INFJs hate attention, they just despise empty attention. They crave authenticity, not performance. They can sense when people are celebrating them out of obligation, out of social rhythm rather than genuine affection, and that energy feels hollow to them. Because the INFJ's soul is allergic to superficiality, they can feel the falseness in a happy birthday said without heart, and rather than endure that insincerity, they'd rather retreat, preferring the honesty of solitude over the noise of forced connection. To them, pretending to be excited about something they don't feel connected to is emotional dishonesty, and INFJs would rather be quiet and real than loud and fake. But underneath that detachment lies something heartbreakingly beautiful, an INFJ's humility. They never feel entitled to celebration. In fact, many INFJs quietly believe they don't deserve it. They downplay their presence, not because they lack confidence, but because they see themselves through the lens of service. They are so used to being the ones who hold others up, who remember every small detail, who comfort, heal, and make others feel seen, that when it comes to their own moment of acknowledgement, they almost don't know what to do with it. They deflect praise, redirect focus, or simply retreat, not because they don't appreciate it, but because it feels foreign, almost undeserved, to be at the center. The INFJ birthday is not a party, it's a quiet prayer. It's that moment when they take inventory of their life, not in terms of success or milestones, but in terms of meaning and emotional integrity. They don't ask, "How much have I achieved?" They ask, "Have I loved enough? Have I healed what broke me? Have I remained kind even when I was misunderstood?" For an INFJ, those are the metrics that matter. And that's why, when others see their calm on that day, they might mistake it for indifference, when in truth it's the deepest form of reverence for the life they've been given. A quiet celebration that happens not in crowds, but in the soul. If you've ever observed an INFJ on their birthday, you might notice they seem to move through the day as if nothing special is happening, working, reading, writing, helping someone, listening to another's story with full attention. But inside, their mind is tracing memories, threading emotions, revisiting moments of the past year that shaped them. They remember the pain they endured silently, the battles no one saw, the small victories they never announced. And in those reflections, there's both pride and melancholy, because INFJs rarely celebrate themselves. They are too busy processing the emotional weight of what it took to get here. Many INFJs also struggle with the concept of being celebrated when they're still healing. They often feel that their growth isn't finished, that there's still too much they haven't become, too much they haven't given. So when someone says, "Happy birthday," it can almost sting, because the INFJ mind translates it into, "You're another year older. Have you done enough with the time you've been given?" Their self-awareness turns into self-questioning, and before they know it, that day of celebration becomes another moment of deep introspection. It's not sadness, it's depth. It's the INFJ's way of staying honest with themselves, of refusing to wear the mask of joy when what they really feel is a blend of gratitude, grief, and awakening. And yet, there's something beautifully defiant about the INFJ's quiet approach to birthdays. In a world obsessed with spectacle, they choose sincerity. In a culture that equates noise with happiness, they choose stillness. While others chase external acknowledgement, they nurture internal alignment. That is the quiet rebellion of the INFJ spirit. They do not let the world dictate how they should feel or celebrate, they decide that for themselves. And in doing so, they reclaim their emotional autonomy. When an INFJ spends their birthday alone, it's not loneliness, it's restoration. They crave that solitude not to escape others, but to reconnect with themselves. To sit in the stillness and hear their own soul again after months of being everyone else's emotional anchor. To reflect on the invisible battles they fought with grace, on the empathy they gave even when they were empty, and on the quiet evolution that only they can see. Their solitude is sacred space, a return to authenticity, a deep exhale after carrying the world on their back. And yet, there's also the subtle ache, the quiet wish that maybe, one day, someone will understand. That someone will not just show up with a gift, but will see them. Will notice the way they withdraw not because they don't care, but because they've been disappointed too many times. Will recognize that their silence is protection, not rejection. INFJs crave that rare kind of love that understands their quiet without asking them to explain it. And when that love finds them, even a small gesture, an honest message, a quiet conversation, a thoughtful act, means infinitely more to them than any grand celebration ever could. To outsiders, it may seem sad that INFJs treat their birthday like any other day. But to those who truly understand them, it's profoundly beautiful. Because it's not a lack of excitement, it's a presence of meaning. It's the INFJ's way of honoring the journey, not the noise. Of seeing their life as a spiritual continuum, not a series of social milestones. They are not anti-celebration, they are anti-superficiality. Every INFJ carries the heart of an old soul who knows that the real celebration of life happens in the quiet moments. When you realize you've grown stronger, when you forgive what once broke you, when you find peace in your own company. INFJs don't need to shout that they're alive. They know they are. They feel it in every deep conversation, every act of compassion, every truth they hold even when it isolates them. Their birthday is a mirror reflecting not their age, but their evolution, the way they've transformed pain into wisdom, the way they've turned loneliness into strength, the way they've chosen integrity over comfort time and time again. And that's what makes them extraordinary. Because while others measure their years in numbers, INFJs measure theirs in meaning. They know that life isn't about how many people show up for you on one day. It's about how you show up for yourself every single day. And in that quiet realization lies their power. The power to rise without recognition, to love without validation, to live without performance. So yes, the INFJ may treat their birthday like any other day. But don't mistake that calm for indifference, it's peace. Don't mistake that quiet for emptiness, it's fullness. Don't mistake their lack of celebration for a lack of gratitude, it's reverence. Because for the INFJ, every day is a chance to live with purpose, to evolve quietly, to love deeply, and to keep walking their sacred path, unseen by most, but fully awake within. And maybe that's the truest form of celebration there is.